Hello, 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 Janta. Welcome back. Before we get started, please, I want to remind you that face reveal coming at 100 subscribers. 100K भी नहीं, 500K भी नहीं, 100 subscribers. मतलब कहाँ पे और देखने मिलेंगे ये 100 subscribers में इतने अच्छे sexy चेहरे हैं कि नहीं, Mr. Akbar?
Exactly.
So please make sure to subscribe, make sure to like, and make sure to comment down below what you think of this discussion. And with that being said, let's get started. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back, Janta, to another episode of Looney Talks. So आज हम लोग डिस्कस करने वाले हैं Loki. What a mind blowing and what a fresh new series. Yeah, I have here with me Mr. Akbar, my dear friend. And we are basically going to not break Loki down, but give you our thoughts on why this is one of the best series Marvel has produced, and give you our predictions as to what will happen in the final episode. I mean, will Kang be there? Will Doctor Doom be there? I mean, you just have to stick around to find out. So let's get right into it, shall we? 5 episodes down, 1 episode to go. Let's start right at the beginning.
Okay.
So episode one. Episode one was honestly a very fresh new episode. In like if you see the Marvel timeline, it's always been
Linear.
linear. So I guess that's the theme of the show as well. So I mean, I knew when episode 1 came out, I knew that this would be a different series altogether. I know we had Falcon and the Winter Soldier as well as WandaVision, but then this series just feels different, doesn't it? मतलब कुछ अलग तो है इसमें, है कि नहीं? आप मतलब एपिसोड देख के क्या सोच रहे थे?
Exactly. मतलब Kevin Feige, जो मतलब Marvel का head है, he was saying that this series actually has more greater implications than any of the other series that have been produced before. So मतलब of course this series is going in a different direction. But apart from that, मतलब यार लोकी है कमाल का बंदा है. मतलब बंदा मरता है वापस आता है, मरता है वापस आता है. अभी मर भी गया था, लेकिन फिर से वापस आ भी गया. So and I feel मतलब फर्स्ट एपिसोड में लगा था कि मतलब टीवीए में कुछ घोटाला है, बिकॉज ऑफ कोर्स कॉमिक्स में तो टाइम कीपर्स एक्चुअली में है, एंड टीवी वाज आल्सो क्रिएटेड बाय द टाइम कीपर्स, जो एक्चुअली इसमें भी स्टोरी है. बट देन इसमें थोड़ा सा वो प्रोपेगेंडा वाइब्स आए थे. वो मैंने देखा था एक ईस्टर एग भी था कि टीवीए प्रोपेगेंडा बोर्ड ऐसा कुछ था. सो मेरे को लग रहा था कि मतलब kind of एक negative light में आएगा कि TV at a certain point of time.
Yeah. That's what I felt as well. Going into episode 2, I knew something was strange, and I mean, it was the moment we saw Judge Renslayer, instant connections बना दिए थे कि मतलब Kang है इसमें, Kang है. But then later we come to find out that I mean he still might pop up in the last episode. I feel that's where the show's headed, because every Easter egg and Marvel has been trying very hard to prove Kang's existence in this show. Because last episode, what I saw was Elias was basically like Kang's guard dog. So that just gives us, and he was I mean, he looked exactly like what he does in the comics. So we'll get to episode 5 later. So episode 2, I felt like it was building up to something greater. I mean, I honestly felt that episode 3 kind of let me down, because but then because it was kind of stagnant. It was shot in the same train. Not much variation. But episode 2, what did you think of episode 2?
Yeah, episode 2 actually, I feel like episode 2 is going to have major implications in larger timeline, because when Sylvie bombed the sacred timeline, she actually bombed a lot of different places, and they were kind of interesting as well. Like there was
But
Asgard.
we never got to see those places, did we?
No, but those things were there. Like there were some videos on YouTube and everything which were breaking down.
Yeah.
So places like Asgard, places like Ego, again the living planet, those places were there too. So
Yeah, Ego in this timeline is alive.
actually, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think like something or the other is going on with all these timelines, you know, and like somehow it's gonna. I mean, we all know it's gonna like mix in with the multiverse of madness, Doctor
Yeah,
Strange.
yeah.
And again, like somehow I think they're gonna pull in WandaVision as well. Because somewhere when WandaVision was searching for her kids, she found them on on a certain timeline.
Yeah.
And actually, like they have been setting up the new Avengers. Like you know, okay, we'll get back to episode 5 later, but then Kid Loki, actually he does join the Young Avengers, and then you know WandaVision's kids,
Yeah.
they join the Young Avengers as well as Barton's daughter, she joins it. Ant-Man's daughter, she joins it. So I think like somehow or the other they might be tying into a lot of different things.
So but then excuse me. Episode 3 I felt was a letdown, but then episode 5 kind of redeemed that, because episode 3 we get to see Loki and Sylvie, they basically get stuck on this planet which is about to die, and they're trying their best to get out of get out of that planet with using that tempad. But unfortunately, Loki breaks the tempad and they're stuck there. So that episode I felt was kind of slow for that for the series. I mean, look at episode 1, look at episode 2. They did so much story building and so much character development that it didn't really sit well with me, because it was kind of how do I put this? It was kind of boring, to be honest with you. But then I now I know why we needed episode 3, because of episode 5. We get to see that connection between Sylvie and Loki, and matlab. This question I'll ask you this question, okay? Would you ever fall in love with a variant of yourself?
Really don't know.
I think that's a really good question. I mean, public, agar aap jante ho, if you dare to answer, please let us know in the comments down below.
You're seeing yourself as a variation,
Yeah.
and would you fall in love with that person?
You know what? I think we would, because we are some sexy ass motherfuckers.
Yeah, given that, of course.
So I mean, I don't know. We could have. I don't know. It's basically up to the public. If you imagine yourself as a sexy lady or a sexy dude, then hey, why not? Yeah. So episode 3. Yeah. What are your thoughts on episode 3? Then?
Actually, I was kind of expecting some more out of episode 3. Like,
Exactly.
like I was expecting something to be subtle over there, you know, like something that they planted in the episode, but then we couldn't see it on the surface, but then we could come back to it later and then we could like explore more. But then, yeah, I think the main focus of episode 3 was building the relationship between Loki and Sylvie.
Yeah.
Because these two guys are like so really important. Like, just imagine two
they're
variations falling in love with each other.
Yeah.
I mean,
Causing an excess event.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like Mobius even said that that's an excess event that they hadn't seen before. So, I mean, yeah, episode 3 was kind of important to the plot.
Yeah.
But then, they could have like added a bit more action or something to it. Like they could have made it a bit more entertaining, you know?
Yeah.
That's my thinking.
Yeah. Now coming to the big 2 episodes, episode 4, we get to see the timekeepers in action, and not in action. As soon as they show us the timekeepers, Sylvie chops one of the lizard man's head off. So episode 4 was, watching episode 4, I could feel that we were getting into something serious. We have lots of questions and lots of let's say theories later. So please stick around. We're just breaking down the episodes one by one, and then we'll get into the thick of things. So episode 4, we find out that the timekeepers aren't real. So who created the timeline is we'll get to it later. But it was a beautiful episode, wasn't it? Because there was so much emotional range in that episode, I feel. And also it was pretty heavy with the comic stuff, like the timekeepers, and then what was her name? The one of Thor's friends, the lady who was present in the Sif, Lady Sif, yeah, Lady Sif. So we see her making an appearance. Imagine that conversation going down. Hey Sif, we need hey, whatever the actress's name is, we need you, but you're only gonna have 2 lines, and you repeat those 2 lines for what, 6 times on loop.
Yeah.
But then hey, it was good to it was
And
good.
you slap Loki.
Yeah, so I think that was the redeeming
Yeah.
part of that conversation. So anyway, episode 4. What were your thoughts? What did you think again of
That
episode
was
4?
actually some very interesting things
Mhm.
in episode 4. Because, like, of course, in episode 3, we came to know that all the workers of the TVA, they're variants.
Yeah, yeah.
But in episode 4, we actually got to know that that's true because, come on, Sylvie's a Loki.
Sylvie's a Loki. Yeah. So I didn't trust her as well when
Yeah,
when she said that.
You can't take anything they
Yeah.
say on face value, right? So I was kind of confused.
Mhm.
But then after seeing Hunter D15, I think,
Yeah.
after seeing her
D15, yeah.
actually feeling that she belonged to a different timeline,
Yeah.
that was actually a very important aspect that
It just cemented the fact that
it just cemented the
yeah.
fact, exactly.
Yeah.
And then, Mobius, like, the guy saying maybe I had a jet ski. I was like,
Get this dude a jet ski already, bro.
yeah, of course.
I mean,
like, jet ski
yeah.
on it, Mobius and Loki.
Yeah.
That's gonna be awesome.
Yeah. That's all we want from the series.
I mean, like, suppose if we see that, like, suppose Kang comes in the 6th episode,
Yeah.
and the fight's on water,
Yeah.
and then Mobius rides in with a jet ski and knocks out Kang.
That'll be an awesome moment.
Something,
Yeah. So anyway, episode 4, we get to find out that the timekeepers aren't real.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And actually, that proves how much they take from the comics, they derive from the comics, but also how different they are from the comics. Because in the comics, the timekeepers are real.
Yeah.
They're 3 lizard-like beings who control the timeline and everything.
Yeah.
And they're actually like kind of enemies of the Avengers and everything. So I was actually thinking, how will they tie in everything, like with the timekeepers? Because Avengers, the original Avengers, are disbanded now.
Yeah.
And like the timekeepers were on and off enemies of the Avengers.
Yeah.
But then now we see that the timekeepers aren't real. So someone else is the man behind the curtains.
Yeah.
So you kind of, I'm very interested on who it is. But then I feel like Kang.
Yeah, we'll get into Kang a bit later, but then the big one, episode 5. Episode 5. So many. It was rich with inspiration, you could say. The thing about WandaVision and Winter Soldier is you could tell that they drew their inspiration from the comics, but there wasn't a payoff. You see, because you could tell that they derived some stuff from the comics, but then they didn't acknowledge that fact. They didn't give us anything to basically chew on or bite our teeth into. So episode 5, we get to see the infamous Thanos copter. Yeah. that was a nice touch.
I was just thinking about that.
Yeah, we get to see Throg. We get to see Mjolnir next to Throg. I don't know if that's.
I'm not very sure if that's Throg, but
I think
it looked kind of like a version of Thor.
Yeah, it was Throg. I believe it was Throg. So plus we got to see Elias. We got to see classic Loki, Kid Loki in action, and my favorite alligator Loki. Episode 5 was honestly, I would say it's been what, 2 years now that Endgame has come out.
Yeah, it was
19.
2019. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
19.
more than 2 years.
More than 2 years. Yeah. So I think that episode was, I enjoyed that hour thoroughly. I believe one of the finest Marvel hours ever, apart from Infinity War and Endgame, of course. But then it's been 2 years since those two movies came out, and then since the last movie came out, yeah. So I believe it was. I enjoyed that thoroughly, and I believe the best, I think, 40 minutes Marvel has produced thus far. I mean, not thus far, after Endgame. And yeah. Let's get your thoughts on the episode.
Yeah, actually, one thing I just realized, like when I was thinking about the episode, is that the TV kind of like is more concerned about what you do rather than you being on the timeline, you know? Like, because when classic Loki said that after Thanos destroyed their ship
Yeah.
after Ragnarok, the guy, he disguised himself as a space debris
Yeah.
and then he was just floating around. So that's actually a variation from the set timeline.
Set timeline. Yeah.
But then that Loki, he went to a desolate planet. He didn't do anything at all.
Yeah.
And so the TVA did not show up.
That's
So,
a good point.
and after that, when he stepped away from the planet, at that same instant, the TVA showed up.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like weird, you know, like how the whole variation system works, because
Yeah.
we were made to believe that Loki just stepping away from his timeline created a variation, or even like the two Lokis falling in love was creating a variation. But then the guy being on the timeline, you know, not contributing to anything, like how did that not create a branch? That's my question. Like,
and we have similar questions, like there's a Gamora in this timeline.
exactly.
How is she?
And then that Thanos is dead from
Yeah.
2014.
Yeah, exactly.
Nebula's
So
dead.
we'll get into those topics. But episode 5, yeah, we get to see. Personally, I felt that was one of the best moments in that episode. Alligator Loki biting the what was his name?
There was some kind of Loki.
Yeah, so another variation of Loki, Alligator Loki bit his hand off, and we basically see 4 to 5 Lokis interacting with one another, and classic Loki basically states that no matter how hard a Loki tries, he will always end up failing, as he said, god of outcasts. So Judge Renslayer, when the episode started off, you could see that she genuinely was surprised when Sylvie cut that dude's head off, like the timekeeper's head off. She genuinely thought that those 3 were controlling the timeline and created the sacred timeline. And but then it was kind of hard to say, because Renslayer could have been lying to Sylvie at that point when they were searching for files about the Void and Miss Minutes with them. But then you get to see that Renslayer really didn't know about the fake timekeepers. You only get to know this when she goes to Hunter B-15 and has a conversation with her, and that really reinstates the fact that she did not know that there was basically a mastermind behind all this, and the timekeepers were fake, and they were all variants of that were abducted and kidnapped and had their memories wiped. So Renslayer, historically in the comics, has been the love interest of Kang the Conqueror. So if she didn't know, do you really think Kang's the big bad of this series?
I mean, we do know that Kang's gonna come up.
Yeah.
Sometime in the
Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah.
So, but then I feel like, there's some clues wrong.
Yeah.
Like when they enchant Eliath and they go to that castle, they see that castle. It's actually a castle. So, and the void is actually a space beyond time. After the end of time.
Yeah.
So, like, in the comics, Kang as well, his home is like a castle beyond time, where he rules over like different variations of himself.
Yeah.
So I kind of feel like, yeah, Kang might be there.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like Renslayer and Kang, that's one of the most famous love stories from the comics.
Mm-hmm.
So I think like it might be a really good chance to like introduce the two. Like maybe like Renslayer, she knows a lot about the TVA.
Mm-hmm.
And Kang, like if he's the man behind the TVA, these two can like really do stuff, like together.
Yeah.
So I feel like there's a chance it might be Kang, but then I think
If it's, I'll tell you this though. If it's not Kang, I will be very disappointed.
exactly.
I'll be if we just get to see another variation of Loki, like being the bad guy, in episode 6, because
That's gonna take away.
that's
all the
that's
fun.
that's not gonna be. But I feel Marvel has been leading us to believe, because if you can keep Alioth like a multiversal level being, and if you can keep him hidden so well, I feel you can keep basically anyone hidden. You know, Alioth, and also Alioth is in the comics Kang's kind of like guard dog. So I think they've been hinting very heavily at towards the possibility of Kang the Conqueror being the bad guy in the series. It depends on who you call bad guy. I mean, Loki.
Loki.
So episode 5 we get to see classic Loki as well, which was so I would say he went out in a blaze of glory. I feel it was he basically proved himself wrong that Loki's can't change. Remember, he literally said Loki's can't change, but then he did sacrifice. He did lay down his life for Loki and Sylvie, and their glorious purpose. So but I feel that he still might make an appearance later on. I don't feel he's totally gone. What do you think?
Exactly, like he himself said that, he showed such a vision to Matt
exactly.
Titan.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
believed it.
Yeah, and that's Thanos we're talking about.
Exactly. So I feel like, yeah, I mean, the thing with Loki is like they might redeem themselves, but they're still Loki. So, I mean, this guy may have just created an illusion for Alioth, and Alioth ate that illusion, but then we might see that classic Loki's popping up again because, like, Loki survives.
Yeah.
Like, that's been the theme throughout, that Loki survives. Like,
Yeah.
at the last moment when Lamentis was being destroyed, the two of them got away.
Yeah.
So somehow I think, yeah, he might make an appearance. But then, actually, it's very interesting because, like, I feel this Loki is somehow the continuation of our Loki, like Tom Hiddleston's Loki. Because, like, we've delved a lot into his death after Ragnarok. So, which was actually the same way in which our Loki died.
Yeah.
So I feel like somehow down the line, Tom Hiddleston's Loki is going to evolve into that classic Loki. So there might be a chance where we might see him again. So really, like, there are a lot of ways we can go.
Yeah. So my question is, all the timelines, all the Lokis, the classic Loki, the kid Loki, alligator Loki, what's the other one?
Boastful Loki.
The boastful Loki, yeah. Do they all die at the hands of Thanos, or was it just a coincidence that our Loki, Tom Hiddleston's Loki, and classic Loki had the same destiny, quote unquote?
I mean, it's hard to say because you see, Sylvie, she was taken from the timeline when she was a kid,
Yeah.
so she couldn't face Thanos. And then,
But maybe that's why she couldn't. If she wouldn't have been abducted and kidnapped at that time, she would grow up to be a hero, because she says that Valkyrie is her favorite, and that's what creates a branch timeline.
Exactly.
Yeah. So my question is, do all these Lokis die at the hands of Thanos? Like, it's basically, do all these timelines converge at one point?
I mean, actually, you see, when these guys are sitting in the bunker, and boastful Loki, classic Loki, and our Loki and Kid Loki is there, alligator Loki is there.
Yeah.
All these guys actually are agreeing that the Mad Titan is kind of a dick.
Yeah.
So I feel like they all at some point have a connection with the Mad Titan. I feel they meet him.
As well as Kid Loki as well.
I think so. I mean, like a Kid Loki, not actually, because we didn't see Kid Loki's reaction, but then the others, we saw them actually like really relating to the fact that they die at the hands of Loki, at the hands of Thanos.
Yeah.
So I feel like, yeah, maybe in different versions, like maybe Loki dies at the hands of Thanos every time. Who knows? Like, I mean, there's one connection. Like Loki always has to be the dick.
Yeah.
In every timeline.
Yeah.
And we see with Sylvie that whenever he tried to change it, she was taken away.
Yeah.
And then classic Loki, after spending his time alone, he wanted to change, he wanted to reconcile with his brother. But then when he wanted to do that...
Coming back to your point about the timekeepers don't care about the... they basically care about the actions you take.
Exactly.
Yeah, so... let's say... let's say they all die at the hands of Thanos. And basically all the branch realities and all the branch timelines, they converge at one point because all of them die at the hands of Thanos. And if you don't, and if you, for example, if Sylvie were... Excuse me. For example, if Sylvie grew up idolizing Valkyrie, she would have been a hero. And, who knows, maybe she doesn't die at the hands of Thanos. Or... for example, classic Loki stepping away from that, basically lying with inanimate debris and removing himself and going to a desolate planet, spending time there. And but then the moment he steps out of there, we know that the TVA catches him. So I think there. I mean, I don't know. This is something only the creators can answer. But I think maybe they all do die and at the hands of Thanos. Maybe. So we see our Loki, the main Tom Hiddleston Loki, getting arrested by the TVA as soon as he uses the Tesseract and removes himself from that situation and frees himself from the Avengers, from the hands of the Avengers. So my question is, Avengers in Endgame went back in time, took all six Infinity Stones and brought them back to their own timeline. Where were the TVA then?
I mean, I think that when we now know that the timeline is not been created by the timekeepers, I feel like whoever this person is behind the TVA, I think that person is really scared of what Lokis are capable of. I really think that because you see, that can be a branch timeline because there's one timeline where Mjolnir isn't there, especially in that dark world
yeah.
line. But then nobody cares about that because even if Captain America kept the stones back or he kept the Mjolnir back, that there's one branch which does not have Mjolnir. So that's actually a deviation from the sacred timeline. But then nobody seems to care about that. They seem to care when Loki made an escape.
Yeah.
So I feel like,
or do you just think it's a plot hole that they? But then Marvel being as big and as gigantic a franchise, they
had
are
a lot of plot holes.
Yeah, but that's a major one you can't overlook, can you?
Yeah.
I mean, they made Loki after Endgame, so you would believe that they must have given it a thought, must have given this a thought. Taking all the Infinity Stones out of their own realities, bringing them back to the present day, and then again keeping them. But then already a branch timeline has been created, and maybe a Nexus event. It is a great Nexus. Thor without his hammer in the dark world.
Yeah, I mean, just imagine that if in that timeline the time stones was taken away, so Doctor Strange does not have the time stone, and Dormammu is gonna just consume the whole planet.
Yeah.
So the whole bargain with Dormammu didn't
Doesn't
happen.
happen. Yeah.
So Doctor Strange does not have any way to save the Earth from the Dark Dimension. So yeah, those problems are there. But then I somehow still feel that this guy who's behind the TVA, this guy's scared of what Loki is capable of. That's why, and he knows that Loki survive and Loki's can kick him in the ass. So, do you know, like, because we see all different kinds of things on that in that void, or whatever you call it, and everything's being consumed by life.
Yeah.
But then somehow or the other, all the different kinds of Lokis, they found each other, they stayed together, and they've survived for God knows how long. So I think that kind of gives me the vibe that, yeah.
So if it is Kang, if it is truly Kang the Conqueror, do you think Loki will be able to beat him, or do you think because for him to get the title of Kang the Conqueror means he really has conquered other realities or other timelines, because the Conqueror would suggest that he is a multiversal level threat, and he is truly a multiversal level threat. So do you think are Loki and Sylvie are together collectively strong enough to bring him down, or what do you think? Or how do you see this last episode going, ending in this series ending? How do you see that?
I mean, there's nothing which you can be really sure about Loki. I mean, somehow or the other, the guy has trick or two up their sleeves.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I feel like this guy, whoever it is, we don't know yet if it's Kang the Conqueror. But then whoever it is, this person knows what Lokis are capable of. And we've seen actually what Loki is capable of, like our Loki. You know, he was able to lift that building with telekinesis.
Yeah.
And then Sylvie can like enchant Goliath. Now even Loki can enchant Goliath.
Yeah.
Then like classic Loki, he can project like entire city-wide illusions. Then one of these Lokis has Mjolnir. And then one Loki killed Thor. Like the kid Loki killed Thor.
Yeah.
So like, of course, these guys have a lot of capabilities. And even Loki says that I think we are stronger than we know. So I think, yeah, if these guys can like get into their powers, they can like scan their powers and then, you know, channel them in a certain way. I think they can cause a lot of damage to the person who's behind the TVA.
I think so too. So if we truly get to see Kang the Conqueror, yeah, I don't think he'll be totally taken down, because he's making an appearance in Ant-Man and the Wasp. He's the bad guy in Ant-Man and the Wasp. And honestly, that movie, I'm keenly waiting to see, because Kang the Conqueror is no mere villain. You know, he especially for Ant-Man and the Wasp. I really want to see how they take them down, or if they take them down. So yeah, I think I'll agree with you on that point. I really do think the villain of this series knows he or she knows about Loki, and they know what Lokis are capable of, and one thing we get to see is that Lokis grow in strength when they work together. For example, Sylvie and Tom Hiddleston's Loki. I mean, he didn't know how to enchant people, let alone a multiversal level being in Alliance. So maybe they have a shot at taking him down, taking Kang down, if it is Kang or whoever this bad guy is, whoever the villain is. But we'll just have to see. Episode 6 coming out this Wednesday. We'll just have to wait, and we'll just have to see if that really is the case, or if Marvel is just misleading us like they do all the time. Because WandaVision, I remember, I honestly thought Mephisto was going to make an appearance. I honestly thought Mephisto was going to make an appearance, but hey, it wasn't to be. And I don't want Loki to be another WandaVision. Not saying WandaVision isn't good, it is good, but Loki has been such a great series. I believe the villain has to be really good in episode 6, because none of these shows have a sequel except Loki. Loki has I don't think if they've started shooting as yet, but it's stated to come back again.
I mean, Loki's going to be in Multiverse of Madness as well. So
Yeah, yeah. So we'll just have to wait and watch. And more Marvel discussion coming your way, Janta. Please, if you like what you hear, and uh, if you've gained anything from this conversation, please let us know in the comments down below. Please hit that like button and make sure to subscribe. Again, मैं बता दूं, अकबर भाई भी बता देगा आपको थोड़ी देर में कि फेस रिवील कमिंग एट 100 सब्सक्राइबर्स.
कर दो यार, कर दो.
It's not like he's begging people. So anyway, we'll more Marvel discussion coming your way, because hey, we are Marvel nerds, I would say.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, a little bit. So not as hardcore as other YouTubers, because we don't have access to comics here in where we stay. But hey, we do the best we can. We do the best we can, and that's all that person can do. I feel. So anyway, yeah, more Marvel discussion coming your way, guys. We will discuss about Endgame, and how there are major plot holes, and we will discuss about more Marvel content yet to come. And yeah, and if you want to join us for that, please hit that subscribe button. But until then, see you on the next episode of Looney Talks. See you, Akbar bhai. Kuch
यार मैं बोलना चाहता हूँ कि मतलब ऐसे सोचो कि 2 सेक्सी बंदे आपके बुक लिस्ट में ऐड हो जाएंगे.
exactly.
मतलब 2 सेक्सी शक्ल आपको देख के नींद कितनी अच्छी आएगी, सोच रहे हो. तो उसके लिए सब्सक्राइब कर दो, आपके लिए अच्छा होगा, सेहत अच्छी रहेगी.
चलो अकबर भाई, थैंक यू. सी यू ऑन द नेक्स्ट एपिसोड.
See you.